Prabhupada went to Mauritius. We had some devotees there. They were preaching, and of course Mauritius is the prime minister, the population of Mauritius I think is something like more than 50% is Hindu. They're from India originally, mostly from Bihar. Historically the British had brought them there to cultivate sugar cane. So anyway, Prabhupada was to meet with the Prime Minister. He's no longer Ram Gulam. And so when Prabhupada arrived, the Prime Minister, I think he had some affairs. He was busy with some other affairs. Anyway, he gave Prabhupada his one of his personal limousines, which is a very nice. It was a Citroën. Citroën are very special cars. You know, they're made of aluminum. They're not made of steel. And they have this suspension system. It's like an ambulance has, where it's like you're floating. Anyway, he gave his limousine, and there was this army officer who was the chauffeur, the driver. So anyway, Prabhupada was there for a few days, and primarily he had come to see the Prime Minister. I had an occasion I had to make an international phone call. I went to someone's house to make the call. While I was there, I was watching TV, and on the TV it showed the Prime Minister cutting the ribbon on a big project that he was inaugurating. What was the project? The project was a chicken processing plant. And it showed how the chickens were taken, and there were these machines going around, and the chickens were hung on these by the neck, and then there was this knife cutting, and and then the feathers, and the whole thing, and out comes a chicken ready for cooking. And it was shocking to see us all on TV. This was a gift from the French government to the people of Mauritius. And I was there. Of course, they would then probably sell all the fertilizers and the chicken feeds and all the, these foreign aid projects are all tied in with, it's actually a business. Anyway, so I mentioned to Prabhupada that I saw the Prime Minister. When I mentioned what he was doing, Prabhupada said, "Oh, then he's Hindu." And he said, "I cannot meet him." So Prabhupada decided not to meet him. So because it meant the man had no principles. So anyway, so there were some days where there was really no programs scheduled. So Prabhupada thought to go for a ride. We had this big limousine there, and the officer, he had nothing to do, and Prabhupada wasn't going. Brother, let us go for a ride. And so we all arranged it all. And Mauritius is a very scenic, very beautiful place. This kind of pristine island. So Prabhupada is riding in the back seat. I'm sitting next to him. Pushta Krishna was in the front seat. The driver is driving, and we were whizzing along. It was very pleasant. These sea breezes, the beautiful ocean, sky, and everything is very nice. These sugar canes growing. We were driving along the coastline, and beside him, Prabhupada had his cane, and Prabhupada was enjoying it very much. Had the window down and the fresh air, and he was sitting cross-legged on the seat, back seat, and so Prabhupada was enjoying, and then at a certain point, I didn't realize, I didn't notice it then, but later on, Prabhupada spoke. At a certain point, Prabhupada just took the cane and put it like on the floor and was holding it like this with his two hands. Just after taking the cane, we just made a turn on the corner, around the bend, and immediately, there was not a second to react. It happened so fast, head-on collision. What it was an event we found out, a tourist from South Africa was driving on the wrong side of the road, and that was it. So we just hit. It was boom, head-on collision, and everyone in shock. The driver, he's full of blood. He's just I didn't know what his condition. I pushed to Krishna. The glass shattered. He's wounded, blood. I also with my arm gashed. Prabhupada had blood on his dhoti, his knee, and we're all shocked. My first reaction, which was a little bit maybe inappropriate, I just put my arms around Prabhupada and just held him. It was just so shocking. And Prabhupada didn't say anything. And then Pushta Krishna was out of it. I was the only one who could function. I don't know, somehow I just got out of that car. The other car was a Volkswagen. It was man and woman, and the woman, she was like unconscious, and the man, he was getting out of his car. And anyway, I realized I got to get Prabhupada out of here. And I didn't even know where we were, and I didn't know where our house was. I didn't know anything. And anyway, then after a while, a car comes by, and now Mauritius, of course, is it's an Indian place, and there are very few Western or white people. So anyway, this other car, the car that we had, they were white people. The car that also came, there were white people there. So anyway, I tried to stop the car. The car just went right by. They didn't want to. They saw this accident. They didn't want. Anyway, then another car came by. So this time, I stood in the middle of the road. The car stopped. So the car stopped, and I went up to the people in the car, and I said, "Please, we need help. My grandfather." I don't know what to say. I said, "My grandfather is injured, an old man. Please, you have to take us to the nearest hospital." So they said, okay, but they also saw the other car with the woman. The woman they saw Prabhupada, they saw he was in India. Then they see this woman, she's unconscious, she's full of blood. Prabhupada just had a little bit of blood, but she was really bad. Volkswagen, head-on collision. So and then the other man wanted for his wife. He wanted attention for his wife. So we were competing, and so they would say, "Well, maybe we should take her first, because they didn't have much room." And I said, "No, you take us." And the other man said, "No, we want to go." And I just slapped the car. I said, "You're taking us, and you're taking us right now, and let's go." There's no. So they said, okay, okay. And so I took Prabhupada out of the car, and we went and took, I mean, everything. Prabhupada is absolutely silent, never speaks a word. I put him in the car, get in the car, and then these people start driving. And anyway, we're getting in the car. I mean, the only reason they were taking this because I forced them. And we get in the car, and they said, well, we don't know where the hospital is, and this and that. And anyway, we're going over here and to our hotel, and you can go to the hotel. And I said, no, we want to go to a hospital right now. And so Prabhupada didn't say anything, so I knew whatever I was doing, Prabhupada was agreeing to, because he didn't say anything. So, but then I could see these people weren't helping us, and they didn't even want to take us. They didn't want to find the hospital. They just wanted to go to. So I realized being with these people, this was not good. I just told, all right, stop the car. They're not going to help us. Stop the car. And they stopped the car, and I took. We got out of the car, and then they left, and there we are, standing in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know where to go again. I mean, lost, you know. And then another car comes along, and I stopped that car. But this car had 3 Indian guys in it. And they saw Prabhupada, they were, you know, offering respects, and Swamiji, and I said, yeah, take us to the nearest hospital. Get in the car. We'll go to the nearest hospital. Then Prabhupada said, no, take us home. No hospital. So I didn't even know where our home was, and we had to. Eventually, they could understand where it was and so on. And so anyway, they were very happy to take us immediately home. We were all the way on the other side of the island. I mean, it was quite a drive. So we go home, and the car pulls in. Harikesh Maharaj was there. He didn't come with us. He stayed. He was doing the transcription. He stayed back. I mean, he didn't know what was, because we left in a limousine and we came back in this junky old, with 3 Indian boys, a junky old car. And then Prabhupada gets out of the car and there's blood on his door. I mean, he's just shocked. And Prabhupada's not speaking anything. Just goes into the house, sits down in his place. And so we had to dress. There was a wound. We had to dress the wound, clean it, and then so then Prabhupada was saying that now he wants to go back to Bombay. Prabhupada never wanted to leave Bombay anyway, even for these any other trip, because Prabhupada was very much concerned with the Bombay project, getting the land, you know, fighting all the government, the municipality, the local politicians, the residents, the seller. I mean, it was just a constant battle. It required constant supervision. Prabhupada had to do that. So then Prabhupada said, let us immediately go back to Bombay. So, and Prabhupada never spoke about it.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.